Caleb and Asher were the least likely pair in their dorm suite, yet they spent their nights tangled in each other's arms, their kisses hidden by the darkness. The sheets on Caleb's narrow bed had become a silent witness to their affair. Asher often clung to him, asking for a title, for something more than their clandestine meetings. The morning Caleb had finally decided to give in, he saw Asher walking into a boutique hotel just off campus, his arm around the most beautiful girl in their entire department. A suite mate, Finn, nudged Caleb with a knowing grin, remarking on Asher's incredible luck for landing a girlfriend like that. Caleb managed a tight smile and agreed they looked perfect together. Then he pulled out his phone, blocked Asher's number, and submitted a request for a room transfer. He changed the locks on his new single dorm, but it wasn't enough. That night, he felt the dip of the mattress and opened his eyes to find Asher pinning him to the bed. Asher's voice was a raw whisper, accusing Caleb of being heartless for kicking him to the curb so suddenly. He pressed down, his body a heavy, desperate weight. For the first time, Caleb shoved him away, his hand connecting with Asher's chest. He met the other man's reddened eyes, which looked like those of a stray dog, begging not to be abandoned again. Caleb's voice was cold when he asked when, exactly, they had ever been together. Asher's hands started to roam, a familiar touch that Caleb now swatted away with irritation. He glared at Asher, his patience gone. He declared that their session for his life drawing class was over. Unsatisfied, Asher nuzzled against Caleb's neck, a territorial gesture that Caleb, for a moment, allowed. But Asher pushed his luck, asking if they could meet again the following week. Caleb scoffed at the sheer nerve of the man who had so directly taken advantage of his offer. He decided to needle him, reminding Asher how unwilling he'd been at the start and questioning what had changed. Had he developed a taste for it? Asher avoided the question with a non-committal hum, but the affection shining in his expressive eyes was undeniable. It made Caleb's fingers itch to reach out and touch him. Asher then complained that he couldn't hold or kiss Caleb in their suite, and pleaded for Caleb to move in with him off campus. Caleb hesitated for a long time, ultimately leaving without giving him an answer. As he left, Asher's expression soured. He grabbed Caleb and pressed a harsh, biting kiss to his lips, leaving a clear mark. They walked back to their respective dorms in tense silence. The visible bite mark on Caleb's mouth earned him an interrogation from their friends. He shot a subtle glare at Asher before shrugging, explaining that his new puppy had a bad habit of biting and that he needed to train it better. Finn, ever earnest, nodded in agreement, noting that biting was indeed a bad habit for a dog to have. Later, while their suite mates were in the shower, Asher cornered Caleb against his door. The hallway buzzed with the noise of other students, and Caleb feigned ignorance of the intense look in Asher's eyes. He reached out and playfully squeezed Asher's earlobe, telling him he was getting a bit clingy and reminding him of their agreement to be just classmates. Asher's hand came up to cup the back of Caleb's head, and he mirrored the gesture, squeezing Caleb's earlobe with a hint of resentment. He called Caleb's name, his tone a mix of frustration and admiration. The rhythm of college life was a dull thrum, and Caleb slowly realized Asher seemed to be holding a grudge. He was dismissive and would often look at Caleb with an intensity that felt predatory. Asher was a master of feigning innocence, even though he had initially rejected Caleb's proposal with the fury of a cornered animal. His handsome face had been a mask of refusal as he insisted he wasn't that kind of person and told Caleb to find someone else. But when Caleb had actually started scouting for new models at the athletic center, Asher had stormed over, yanking Caleb away from a group of muscular athletes. He had admitted his regret and begged for another chance, shamelessly flexing his abs as a bargaining chip. The display was tempting, and Caleb, who never went back on his word, found himself wavering. The raw, physical memory of Asher was a powerful intoxicant. Caleb had assumed Asher would be shy about their arrangement, so he had maintained a cool, detached demeanor around him at school. To outsiders, they were barely acquaintances. More than once, during their most intimate moments, Asher had breathlessly asked what they were to each other, a question Caleb never answered. That single, casual introduction of Asher as my classmate to someone on the quad had festered, turning into a grudge. The man who had once been so careful not to displease him was gone. Caleb picked up his phone and saw a single, cold K from Asher in their message thread. He tossed the phone onto his desk in frustration. Just then, Finn called, his voice booming with excitement about a male dancer night at a bar near campus and asking if he wanted to go. A rebellious impulse took hold, and Caleb agreed without a second thought. As soon as they sat down in the crowded, pulsing bar, a text from Asher appeared. "You're not in your room." Caleb didn't reply. He didn't know how. On stage, a dancer moved with explosive energy, his muscles gleaming under the lights, drawing cheers from the crowd. Caleb sipped his beer, his mind elsewhere, barely hearing Finn's whooping shouts. After screaming himself hoarse, Finn finally turned to him. He noted that Caleb seemed off, pointing out that this used to be his favorite kind of entertainment. Caleb grimaced, admitting that Asher had spoiled his appetite for it. The dancers, bulked up on protein powder, held no appeal for him anymore. He then asked Finn what it meant when you couldn't stop thinking about someone. Over the deafening music, Finn's answer struck him like a bolt of lightning. It meant you were into them. Caleb spent the next several days avoiding Asher. The advantage of being in different apartments was that, with enough club activities and errands, you could avoid someone even if you lived in the same building. When he heard Asher was leaving for a few days for a conference with his advisor, Caleb felt a wave of relief. He found himself sitting on Asher's perfectly made bed. Everything about Asher was orderly, a stark contrast to the chaos he created in Caleb's life. In the beginning, Asher had been too timid to even touch his hand. Now he never let go. Caleb sighed, poking at the fabric of Asher's shirt, wondering what he was supposed to do with him. Their arrangement had one primary rule: no feelings. Now Caleb had broken it, and he had no idea where Asher stood. His heart fluttered with a nervous energy that was driving him crazy. Finn returned from basketball practice, drenched in sweat, and stopped short when he saw Caleb on Asher's bed. He was shocked, asking if Caleb had a death wish, him that Asher would tear him apart. Caleb just snorted, retorting that Asher wouldn't dare. He'd put up with far more and always ended up submitting. Asher projected an image of toughness, but a simple raised eyebrow from Caleb was usually enough to make him relent. He was easy to handle. Finn ignored the plopping onto a chair next to the bed, the smell of sweat radiating off him. Caleb pushed him away, telling him to get lost before he dripped sweat on the bed and really did get them both murdered. Finn, however, was on a mission. He leaned in conspiratorially, demanding to know who Caleb had fallen for and when he was going to confess. Caleb was reluctant to admit it, but Finn's gaze was like a searchlight. He tried to deflect, suggesting that maybe it was the kind of relationship that didn't need a confession. Finn gasped dramatically, accusing Caleb of being a cad. Caleb winced, admitting to himself that some of his actions did fit that description. He tried again, framing it as a hypothetical situation about a friend who had developed feelings in a secret relationship. Finn wasn't buying it but offered his advice anyway, insisting that his friend should confess. Caleb argued that it was complicated, that other people couldn't know. Finn waved a dismissive hand, stating that a relationship is between two people, and as long as they know, that's all that matters. Caleb nodded, looking at his simple-minded friend with a newfound pity. The guy was clueless, but sometimes his straightforwardness was exactly what was needed. A title. If Asher wanted one, maybe he should just give it to him. Humming a tune, Caleb waited for Asher to get back, a shy excitement building inside him. A guy from the suite next door poked his head in, clapping Caleb on the shoulder. He marveled at how secretive Asher was, having a gorgeous girlfriend and not telling anyone. The words hit Caleb like a physical blow, a buzzing in his ears drowning out the rest. He forced a smile and said he hadn't heard anything about a girlfriend. The guy insisted, telling him to go look outside the main gate, where Asher was laughing with a beautiful girl, their body language screaming couple. After getting rid of the guy, Caleb felt a chill spread through his body, his heart sinking like a stone. Finn's return delivered the final blow. He confirmed that Asher seemed to have a secret girlfriend. Caleb bolted from the dorm, running towards the campus gate, but he hesitated at the entrance. He couldn't bring himself to look. He had never been a coward, but Asher made him one. He knew he couldn't handle another betrayal. The weather that day was beautiful, a sharp contrast to the cold dread filling him. The chirping of birds sounded like a funeral dirge. He found himself trailing Asher and the girl, his feet moving on their own. They walked to the small, boutique hotel they had frequented, and he watched them enter, laughing together. Caleb's feet felt rooted to the spot, as if caught by a stone. He couldn't take another step forward. His phone rang, and he answered it with a trembling hand, trying to steady his breathing. It was his mother. He barely registered what she was saying until she mentioned she was moving to the city for work and had already bought a condo. Finally, something clicked. He told her he would move in with her. Taking a deep breath, he suppressed the swirling storm of anger and grief and turned away. At least Asher didn't know how he felt. That was his only consolation. Caleb was amazed at how well a person could act. When Asher returned to the dorm, he behaved as if nothing had happened. When they were alone, he climbed into Caleb's bed, his voice laced with false grievance. He complained that Caleb hadn't contacted him once while he was away. Caleb felt split in two. One part of him wanted to melt into the sweet nothings Asher was whispering, while the other wanted to punch him in the face. As Asher continued to talk, Caleb was struck by the sad realization that he had become completely ruled by his emotions. He cut Asher off mid-sentence, suggesting they go out that Saturday. Asher's eyes lit up, and he leaned in to kiss Caleb's cheek. Caleb recoiled, and Asher, annoyed, wrapped an arm around his waist, pulling him close. Caleb protested that they were in the dorm, and Asher reluctantly backed off. His phone buzzed incessantly on the nightstand. Their last chat was still open, showing Asher's message from that afternoon announcing his return. Without Asher knowing, Caleb processed his withdrawal from university housing. Finn was disappointed, asking why he was leaving. Caleb used his mom as an excuse, explaining that she was new to the city and he was worried about her being alone. Finn, who knew about his family situation, gave his shoulder a sympathetic squeeze. On Caleb's last day, Asher remained oblivious, his attention clearly elsewhere. Caleb deliberately asked him to meet at their hotel, but instead, he took his luggage and left campus for good. The new condo was vast and empty. Caleb sat on the floor, watching the clock tick. His phone rang repeatedly, but he silenced it each time. A chill seeped into his bones. 3 hours, 48 minutes, and 56 seconds. 15 missed calls from Asher. For a moment, he stared at the screen, then deleted the contact from his phone. Betrayal was a familiar ache. When his mother came home and turned on the lights, she found him pale and shivering. She rushed to his side, her face etched with worry. Caleb forced a smile, but she saw through it. She told him she had to go back to their hometown for a while to deal with an issue with a project, and asked if he would be okay on his own. He took her hand, noticing how tired she looked, and assured her he would be fine. He and Asher were on the same campus but in different programs. With Caleb's deliberate avoidance, they never once crossed paths. Their sordid past felt like a dream, something Asher seemed to have abandoned just as easily. Chronic insomnia was taking its toll, leaving him perpetually dazed. He didn't even notice he was being followed until a voice called his name. It was Liam, the star of the athletic department, holding out a coffee. His ears were red as he stammered out a confession, telling Caleb he liked him and asking if he'd be willing to give him a chance. Liam was handsome, popular, and polite, once a prime candidate on Caleb's list of potential distractions. Receiving his confession should have made him happy, but his heart felt hollow, like something was missing. The word no was on the tip of his tongue, but Liam just smiled, a bright, easy grin. He said it was okay, that they could start as friends. Caleb recognized him as someone from his world, someone who understood the rules. He just hoped he wasn't too late this time. The calm was shattered by Liam's very public presence in his life, which grated on Caleb's nerves. He was walking home in a daze and didn't sense Asher until it was too late. Only a few weeks had passed, but it felt like a lifetime. His heart hammered against his ribs. Asher looked thinner, exhausted. Caleb suppressed the flicker of concern, his expression hardening. He demanded to know what Asher was doing there. Asher shut the door behind him and lunged, tackling Caleb onto the bed like a predator. His hand cushioned the back of Caleb's head against the headboard. His red-rimmed eyes filled with anguish. He asked if it was fun toying with him, if he was nothing more than a dog to be summoned and dismissed at will. He insisted they had been happy together. The dull pain in Caleb's chest sharpened. He cut him off, repeating his earlier question. When were they ever together? Disbelief washed over Asher's face. His grip tightened, as if trying to merge their bodies into one. He asked if it was true if Caleb was really with Liam now. The accusation was so absurd it made Caleb's heart tremble with rage. He struggled, managing to raise a hand and slap Asher across the face. Asher barely flinched, merely turning his head and licking his lip, his gaze stubbornly fixed on Caleb, demanding an answer. A bitter laugh escaped Caleb's lips. He was the one who had been betrayed, yet here was Asher playing the victim. Words meant to wound, meant to be a lie, tumbled out. He closed his eyes, avoiding Asher's gaze, and confirmed that it was true. Asher froze. He looked like a lost dog caught in a storm, frantic and helpless. Just as Caleb thought he might finally give up, Asher leaned in and kissed him, a soft, tentative touch. The gentleness was disarming, meant to melt his defenses. When Caleb opened his eyes, he saw that Asher's were brimming with tears. His voice broke as he begged Caleb not to leave him, offering to be the other man. The secret, willing to take even a few days of his time if that was all he could have. Caleb was so stunned he forgot to be angry about the kiss. He shot up, demanding to know what Asher was talking about. Asher's expression grew even more desolate, tears streaming down his face. He asked if even that wasn't enough, insisting he just wanted to be near Caleb. The pain in his eyes seemed genuine. He was pleading, debasing himself just to stay. Caleb was suddenly reminded of the first time he had propositioned Asher, telling him he only wanted his body, not his love. Asher had refused then, too, his face a mask of anger. And just when Caleb had decided to find someone else, Asher had come back, begrudgingly asking for another chance. He had broken his own rules for Caleb again and again. Caleb's hand moved on its own, wiping away Asher's tears. He told him to stop crying, that he hated it. Asher choked back a sob. Caleb slammed a fist on the mattress, the frustration boiling over. He hated confrontations, but for Asher, he kept breaking his own rules. He demanded to know what Asher was doing there when he already had a girlfriend. Asher shot to his feet, his voice raw. "Caleb, do you have a heart? The only one I've ever wanted is you. You can't just invent a girlfriend for me to make it easier to reject me." Caleb scoffed, leaning back against the pillows and straightening his rumpled shirt. Asher's eyes darkened, but he looked like a big, dumb animal, silently roaring in frustration. Caleb delivered the final blow, telling him he had seen him with his own eyes, walking into a hotel with a girl, and asked how he could possibly deny it. He thought that perhaps all men were like this, full of righteous excuses until they were caught red-handed. His own deadbeat father was proof of that. And now Asher was too. A wave of exhaustion washed over him. He closed his eyes, wishing the whole farce would end. Asher's voice was quiet, laced with a deep hurt. "Do you have any trust in me at all, Caleb? When something happens, your first instinct is to run. You sentence me without even asking a single question." He took a ragged breath. "That was my sister. My older sister from my mom's first marriage. I was going to introduce you after I helped her get settled." The words hit Caleb like a physical shock. Asher stared at him for a long moment, the disappointment in his eyes a palpable thing, before he turned and slammed the door behind him. Caleb punched the bed in fury. He was the one who was supposed to be angry. A secret, triumphant thrill bubbled up inside him, but he pushed it down. He curled up on the sofa, feeling small and wronged. He had been miserable for weeks, and Asher just got to be angry and leave? It was clear who was disposable in this relationship. The cold draft from the window did nothing to clear his head. Instead, he caught a cold. When Finn saw him on campus, he was startled by Caleb's fever-bright eyes. Caleb sniffled, his voice weak as he asked what Finn was doing there. Finn waved at someone over Caleb's shoulder. Caleb glanced back nonchalantly and saw Asher, who walked right past them without a flicker of recognition. Caleb deflated, barely hearing what Finn was saying next. Finn waved a hand in front of his face, asking if the fever had fried his brain. Caleb grumbled that he never got sick. Finn just clicked his tongue and reminded him about their sweets get-together that night at the usual spot. Caleb's fingers curled into a fist. He asked if Asher would be there. Finn gave him a strange look, muttering about how weird they both were. Caleb ended up falling asleep at a library desk. He woke up to the feeling of a warm jacket being draped over his shoulders. He assumed it was Asher and murmured something about being cold. The scent of fresh lemon, not Asher's familiar sandalwood, made his eyes snap open. It was Liam. He looked startled by Caleb's abrupt awakening, his expression concerned. He asked if Caleb was still feeling unwell and offered to take him to the campus health center. The jacket slipped off as Caleb sat up. He handed it back, thanking him but saying he was fine to go home. The library was empty. Liam suddenly rested his hand over Caleb's on the table, a gesture so innocent it was almost painful. He confessed that he knew Caleb had someone else on his mind and couldn't accept him yet, but he was willing to wait, content to just be there in the background. Love was such a fragile, unpredictable thing. Caleb studied his sincere eyes and felt a sudden urge to flee. Asher had sworn he loved him with such certainty, and yet he had turned and walked away just as easily. Caleb had never trusted declarations of love. It was the most foolish thing in the world. He gently pulled his hand away and started walking. He didn't need love. He had gotten this far without it. His head was spinning as he walked back to his apartment. As he passed a secluded alleyway, a hand shot out and pulled him into the shadows. Asher slammed him against the brick wall, his other hand instinctively cushioning Caleb's head. His voice was hoarse as he let out a bitter laugh, remarking that Asher seemed to enjoy pushing him around. Asher buried his face in Caleb's neck, inhaling deeply like a dog trying to find a familiar scent. His eyes were pleading as he accused Caleb of wearing another man's jacket. Caleb leaned back against the cool brick, raising an eyebrow. He asked what right Asher had to question him, reminding him how happily he had slammed the door a few days ago and asking if he regretted it now. Asher pressed closer, his face still buried in Caleb's neck, his voice muffled. "I was angry at you, not because I stopped loving you. I was angry that after all this time you still don't trust me. It felt like if I wasn't right there in front of you, I could be thrown away like I meant nothing." The raw vulnerability in Asher's voice was a sharp pang in Caleb's chest. He wanted to cup his face and tell him it wasn't true, that he was terrified to admit he'd fallen in love for the first time and had no idea what he was doing. He was afraid that if he said the words, all the desperate, crazy parts of his love would come back to destroy him when it ended. He had no faith in love's endurance. "Make me want you again, Asher," Caleb heard himself say, his heart plummeting. "And maybe if I'm in a good mood, I'll say yes." He knew he was already lost. Looking into Asher's shocked and hopeful eyes, he gathered his courage and reached up to touch his face. "You get one chance. If you screw it up, you're gone." Asher couldn't restrain himself. He tilted Caleb's chin up and kissed him with a desperate urgency. Caleb tried to push him away, to speak, but Asher took the opportunity to deepen the kiss, his tongue tangling with Caleb's. Caleb's hands fell limply to his sides. Just when he thought he would pass out from lack of air, Asher finally pulled back, peppering his lips with small, light kisses. His eyes were shining, making Caleb blush. He tried to push him away again, but Asher's arms were like steel bands. As Asher leaned in for another kiss, Caleb turned his head. "Enough," he said. Asher looked disappointed. Caleb poked him in the ribs. "I have a cold. I'll get you sick." Asher's face lit up with a grin, and he kissed him again before Caleb could say another word. Much later, Caleb emerged, breathless, and punched him lightly in the chest. "Asher, have some shame. You're just a candidate for the position of boyfriend right now. Don't push it." Asher just nodded, unconcerned. "Does having shame get you a boyfriend?" "No. So what do I need it for?" Under the pretense of taking care of the sick, Asher seamlessly moved into Caleb's apartment. Before Caleb knew it, his belongings had started to appear everywhere. Caleb saw through his insidious plan, but Asher would just blink at him innocently, claiming he only wanted to spend more time with him. On the rare occasions Liam came by, Asher would put on a magnanimous show, waving them off and saying he couldn't monopolize Caleb's time since he was, after all, only a suitor. But the moment the door closed, he would deflate like a wilted vegetable. One day, as Caleb was about to leave with Liam, he turned back, walked over to Asher, and gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. "You've been good lately," he said. "That's your reward." Caleb met Liam on a quiet path on campus, a spot they chose to avoid the usual crowds of couples. Before Caleb could speak, Liam smiled. He said he already knew what Caleb was going to say, that he was turning him down. He asked if he was too late. In all honesty, both Asher and Liam were good men. It was Caleb who was difficult, stubborn, and prone to outbursts. He wasn't an easy person to love. Liam was kind, but he wouldn't understand the kind of all-consuming devotion Caleb craved. He admitted that the timing was everything, and his heart was already taken. Liam's smile faltered for a second, but he quickly recovered. He opened his arms, asking for a farewell hug even though he'd lost. Just as Caleb was about to agree, Asher materialized from nowhere, squeezing between them and wrapping Liam in a tight, brotherly embrace. "It's all good, man," Asher said, patting Liam's back a little too hard. "I admire you as a person, but I hate you as a rival. You can go now. And don't give your jacket to other people." Caleb sighed, pulling a pouting Asher behind him. He apologized to Liam, who just shook his head, unbothered. Liam told Caleb that if Asher ever messed up, he would always be his second choice. Asher grumbled behind him. Caleb was about to laugh when he looked up and saw the last person on earth he ever wanted to see. He instinctively moved to shield Asher. "What are you doing here?" The man before him, his biological father, was well dressed for a man his age, but the words that came out of his mouth were like knives. "What am I doing here? A father visiting his son is perfectly natural." He looked Asher up and down with disgust. "So this is your boy toy? What did I do to deserve a son who lets another man ride him? You have no shame. Liking men. It's disgusting." Caleb's nails dug into his palms. He stared at the man who shared his blood and whispered to Asher to go, that he could handle it. As long as he didn't turn around, he wouldn't have to see the expression on Asher's face. Why did this man always appear at his happiest moments just to shatter them? A warm hand enveloped his. Asher squeezed it tightly and whispered in his ear, "Don't be afraid. I'll protect you." Caleb's eyes stung. Asher stepped in front of him, taking the brunt of the vile insults his father hurled at them. When words failed to have an effect, the man let out a grotesque laugh. "Hey kid," he said to Asher, "my son's not free. Give me some money, and I'll sell him to you." Asher snapped. He lunged forward and punched him. "You can insult me," he snarled, "but you will not insult your son. He's done nothing wrong. The only one at fault here is you, a deadbeat gambler who abandoned his family." His family's greatest shame was laid bare, but Caleb felt nothing but a strange calm. Asher was like a valiant warrior, protecting him from the dragon. He gently touched the bruise forming on Asher's jaw, then coldly told his father to get lost. The man cursed but didn't leave, so Caleb took out his phone and dialed a number. "You don't want your crores to know where you are, do you?" At the sight of the call connecting, his father finally limped away. After he was gone, Caleb called the police and then forwarded his father's location to the crores. Back at the apartment, while Caleb held an ice pack to Asher's face, he hesitated before calling his mother. Asher gently patted his hand, telling him she had a right to know. The silence on the other end of the line was heavy. Finally, his mother sighed. She confessed that she had always been too lenient with him, holding on to some small, lingering affection. She apologized to Caleb for the pain he had endured and promised that his father would never bother them again. A lump formed in Caleb's throat, and tears streamed down his face. Asher pretended not to notice, simply offering his chest as a place to cry. Caleb buried his face in Asher's shirt, finally saying all the things to his mother that he had held inside for years. The weight on his heart finally lifted. Asher chuckled, calling him a baby for crying and laughing at the same time. Caleb, his eyes bright with tears, launched himself into Asher's arms and declared that there were no returns. Asher kissed him until he was breathless. A cough from the phone reminded them they weren't alone. His mother had heard everything. Mortified, Caleb and Asher exchanged panicked looks. Then, his mother's light laughter came through the speaker. "Next time I visit, I expect to be introduced to your boyfriend." Asher spent the rest of the night with a goofy grin on his face. The next morning, he woke Caleb up at an ungodly hour, practically bouncing with the excitement of a child on Christmas. "Your mom gave me a title," he announced. "When are you going to give me one?" He had perfected the art of playing pitiful. Caleb marveled at how the once rigidly straight guy had turned into such a manipulative flirt. He pinched Asher's cheek. "What if I don't want to flirt for a boyfriend?" Asher bit his cheek playfully in retaliation. "Too late. I'm latching on and I'm never letting go." Caleb yelped in mock pain. "There hasn't even been a proper confession. Who said I'd be your boyfriend?" Asher's eyes lit up, but he just smirked and said nothing more. Caleb's heart was left dangling. The man was infuriating. He spent the next few days acting as if nothing had happened. That night, watching Asher sleep, Caleb resisted the urge to smack him. Instead, he found a comfortable spot and curled up against him. He would kick Asher out tomorrow. Definitely. The confession came on a day Caleb had completely forgotten. His birthday. He had been so busy that if his mom hadn't called that morning, the day would have passed unmarked. When Asher came home that evening, a secret hope flickered within him. He told himself that if Asher didn't know it was his birthday, the boyfriend promotion was officially off the table. All day he watched him covertly. When Finn called and asked him to hang out, Caleb was so out of sorts that Finn stared at him in disbelief, accusing him of forgetting his old friends now that he and Asher were back together. Caleb couldn't help but laugh at his friend's dramatics. He patted Finn on the back and declared that tonight was just for them. Asher was not invited. Finn took him to the same bar with the male dancers, and a pang of guilt hit Caleb, knowing Asher had no idea. But he quickly brushed it aside. Asher was the one who forgot his birthday so he could deal with it. Finn led him through the crowded bar to a private room, telling him mysteriously to open the door himself. Caleb eyed him suspiciously, asking if he'd arranged a room full of dancers for him. He pushed the door open and saw Asher, standing there with a huge bouquet of flowers, a dark expression on his face. He raised an eyebrow, a dangerous glint in his eye. "Disappointed it's me and not a room full of dancers?" Caleb's heart skipped a beat. He shot a death glare at Finn. "Of course not," he stammered. "I'm just surprised." And he truly was. The lights came on, revealing Asher in the center of the room. He dropped to one knee holding a small jewelry box. "Caleb," he said, his voice steady, "will you be my boyfriend? The one and only, for life?" Caleb, holding the massive bouquet that nearly obscured his face, felt his eyes well up. He nodded, trying to look composed, and held out his hand for Asher to put the gift on. It wasn't a ring. He looked at Asher, surprised. On his wrist was a platinum bracelet set with a single, brilliant sapphire. Asher seemed to read his mind. "I'm not going to tie you down with a ring," he said, revealing a matching ring on his own finger. He took Caleb's hand and placed it over his heart. "I'll always be in your probationary period." Caleb tossed the flowers to Finn and threw himself into Asher's arms. "Boyfriend," he whispered into his neck. "You passed." Asher's kisses grew more intense until Finn loudly cleared his throat, reminding them they weren't the only living people in the room. Caleb blinked in confusion. Asher gently turned him around. His mother was standing there, smiling, holding a cake and a gift. Caleb turned beet red. "Mom, what are you doing here? How could I miss my son's birthday?" she said, her eyes twinkling as she looked between him and Asher. "Perhaps your friend and I should leave for a bit. Give you two a few more minutes." Asher looked more than willing, but Caleb quickly covered his mouth. "Mom," she laughed. "I'm just teasing. Come on, make a wish and blow out your candles." Caleb closed his eyes, surrounded by the warmth and happiness. The people he loved and the people who loved him were all here. After a noisy and cheerful dinner, his mom pulled him aside. "Honey," she said softly, "don't be afraid. I will always protect you. I'm sorry I let you get hurt before." She confessed that her ex-husband's downfall hadn't been sudden. The man who had professed his love for them had been cheating and lying for years, driven by greed. Decades of history had made her soft. "It's not your fault, Mom," Caleb said, hugging her tightly. "It was his, and he's been arrested. He can't bother us anymore." He saw Asher watching them from across the room, his expression full of love. "My marriage failed," his mother continued, "but I don't want you to lose your courage to love. There is nothing wrong with love. Go on, sweetheart. He hasn't taken his eyes off you." Back at the apartment, Caleb was still buzzing with excitement. He clung to Asher, chattering endlessly. He saw the look in Asher's eyes shift. "I was gonna let you rest," Asher murmured, "but you clearly have way too much energy." The rain fell all night, thick and heavy. The next morning, Caleb was exhausted beyond belief. He glared at the source of his fatigue, who was grinning like an idiot. "Asher," he said, "do you remember how you rejected me the first time I asked you?" The grin vanished from Asher's face. "Babe, are we really bringing up old history now?" Caleb smiled smugly. He still had him there. The sky was a brilliant blue, the sunlight sharp and clear, just like the day he had first seen Asher and felt that jolt of attraction. He remembered knocking on his dorm room door. "Hi," he'd said. "I'm your new sweet mate. Are you interested in a relationship that's all pleasure, no love?" He vaguely remembered Asher refusing. But then he also remembered Asher's sigh of resignation. "Fine. It's not like I could stand by and watch you go to someone else. I'll just have to make you fall in love with me." Time had proven him right. Sincerity was not a mistake. It would always be answered. He had fallen in love with him, just as he was always meant to, from that very first, overlooked thunderbolt of a heartbeat.